This tutorial is going to cover the gumball in Rhino. The gumball is a widget in Rhino which allows you to quickly scale, move, or reorient an object without having to run commands. You need to make sure your gumball is turned on, so down here on the status bar, make sure gumball is highlighted. And if that's highlighted and you select an object, you'll see this blue, green, and red object, this little widget appear in the centroid of this box. Now, this is called the gumball, and the gumball has a few different handles which allows you to modify the object quickly. For instance, if I wanted to move this up, I could run the move command, or I could just click and drag on the Z axis of my gumball, and I could move it like that. I could do this for the X and the Y. Now, if I want to rotate this object, I can use the curved handles. So I can quickly rotate the object by clicking and dragging on any of these directions. And lastly, I can scale the object restricted to the X or the Y or the Z dimensions. Now, this can be done precisely as well. So if I make sure my gumball is on and I actually click and don't hold one of these widgets, I can give it a precise dimension, like moving an object 20 feet up, or rotating an object 30 degrees counterclockwise, or scaling an object in the X direction by half. If I rotate an object and I hold Shift, it will restrict it to every 90 degrees. So here you can see it's cycling through every 90 degrees. And if I hold Shift and I scale an object, it will scale it uniformly. So here's another instance. If I'm holding Shift, I'm just scaling in the X or in the Y direction right now, but if I hold Shift, you can see all of the other axes appear, and now it's scaling uniformly. I can also use the gumball to quickly clone objects. So if I want to make an iteration of this, I can copy this over in the X direction by clicking and dragging the X axis handle and tapping Alt. Whenever you tap Alt on a handle on the gumball, you'll see this white box appear, and that means you're making a copy of the object. This also works for scaling an object. So if I want to make this twice as tall, I can tab Alt, I can drag, and it won't delete the original object. The original object is still there. And I can also do this for rotation. Now, a quick note on where the gumball orients by default. If I select one object, this is a closed extrusion. It's a box which has a volume, and it's going to go and try and find basically the centroid of this object. But you can see it reorients itself. So let's take this item, let's copy it, I'm going to rotate it, and now you can see that it's still oriented to the object. But if I click away and I re-click the object, it's going to reorient to the world. You can change this by right-clicking on the gumball and aligning it to either the object or the world. You can turn on auto reset, so whenever you rotate the object, you can see that time it actually changed to go back to the world. Or you can use this white handle that is sort of in the middle of the curved handles, and you can relocate it. You can align it to the object here. You can change its drag strength, or you can reset it. So I'll show you relocating the gumball here. It's asking me for the gumball origin, so I'm going to place it at this corner. Then it's asking me for the X-axis, and now it's asking me for the Y-axis, so I can draw it here. This is very similar to the C-plane creation in the other tutorial. So now if I scale this, in the Y direction, you can see it's going to scale based on that point. I tend to not relocate the gumball too much because you can sort of get lost in it, and I use this for very quick modifiers. So Let's say I want to create an iteration of this. I'll quickly drag it and now I have a version of the object. I'll scale it, I'll rotate it here. If I wanted to scale it precisely, I would probably use a command at that point rather than resetting the gumball. You can see again here it's resetting auto to the centroid of the object, and the axes are oriented to the world axes. So just keep that in mind when you modify an object and you want to modify it in the same direction. If you click away and you click back on the object, it will reset. You also don't have to use the gumball exclusively for a single object. You can use it for multiple objects. So if I click this and I shift click other objects, you can see that the gumball is reorienting, and actually it reorients basically to the centroid of these objects. You can do this for curves, meshes, polysurfaces, surfaces, variety of items. It doesn't have to be all the same object. So now if I move it, I can actually move all 4 of these objects. Again, I can clone it here by moving it in a direction and tapping Alt, and now I have a variety of these objects. Or I can go back and just scale 2 of these in the X direction.